Today's topic is that, Spanish bilingual and, is it correct? Spanish bilingual and EFL free service teacher attitudes towards digital game-based learning and considering the track model, but TPACK model. Oh, thank you so. Sorry for that. And stage is yours.
Thank you. So I will share my screen now. And I think you should be able to see it now. So I will put this full screen. Okay, so thank you very much and good morning. We are Cristina Huertas Abril and Francisco Javier Palacios Hidalgo, and we belong to the University of Córdoba in Spain. And well, this is the title of our presentation. Like the moderator said, it's Spanish bilingual and EFL for service teacher attitudes towards the digital game-based learning model, considering the TPACK model. So we basically present the results of an exploratory study about the perceptions of Spanish pre-service bilingual and EFL teachers regarding the implementation of digital game-based learning in the primary education classroom in connection to the TPACK model. So well, just to begin with the topic, in our opinion, one of the best explanations of why play and games can be used in the classroom is why it has potential for learning are these words of Neville Scarf, who was the Dean of the Faculty of Education at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver in Canada. And he basically said that play is the most complete educational process of the mind. It's also nature's ingenious device for ensuring that each individual achieves knowledge and wisdom. Well, since 1962, which was the year when Neville Scarf actually pronounced these words, the relevance of game-based learning in the scientific literature, whether in the form of serious games or in the form of gamification, has grown as a consequence of the great interest that has arisen in the influence on students' performance and motivation when we actually use it in the classroom. So in this sense, several studies have been developed on its effectiveness in different areas, such as business, statistics, or even natural sciences. However, other experts have pointed out that despite these reviews on its potential, there is no consensus on the extent to which the effect of game-based learning is actually positive for students. In any case, we can say that the traditional misconception that the only possible purpose of games is entertainment has been now overcome. Well, just to give a very general definition of game-based learning and digital game-based learning, we could say that game-based learning is basically the use of games with well-defined learning objectives, whereas digital game-based learning is basically the use of digital games with well-defined learning objectives. So among the main findings regarding the educational potential of games, it has been shown that game-based learning, and in particular digital game-based learning, can support other teaching methodologies and can actually facilitate students' learning and skills. However, teachers are required to have the necessary training to actually implement this approach, as well as time and technical support and technical resources to do that. Nevertheless, the use of digital game-based learning couldn't have been possible without the evolution of educational technology. And in this sense, we would like to mention the technological pedagogical content knowledge model, which is also simply known as the TPACK model. Basically, this model assumes that to use educational technology properly, teachers need a combination of three types of knowledge, which are basically content knowledge, methodological knowledge, and digital knowledge. In this sense, since digital games entail the use of educational technology, the relevance of the TPACK model for an efficient implementation of digital game-based learning seems clear to us. And in fact, the specific applications of the TPACK model have been studied and developed in the field of digital game-based learning, which basically shows the clear relationship between the two approaches. And in this sense, we can highlight, for example, the TPACK model, which is basically the technological pedagogical content knowledge games model, which is basically an application of the TPACK model when used to implement games in the classroom. So considering this exploratory study analyzes the perceptions of a group of Spanish bilingual and EFL pre-service teachers regarding the implementation of digital game-based learning in light of the TPACK model. So as for the sample, we selected 64 Spanish bilingual and EFL pre-service teachers, and all of them were taking the compulsory course Foreign Language for Primary Teachers, which is part of the degree in primary education, and also part of the double degree in English Studies and Primary Education, both of the University of Córdoba in Spain. Out of these 64 participants, 49 were female and 15 were male. And the mean age, the average age was 20.31 years old. As for the instruments that we used in this study, we used the questionnaire about using digital games in the classroom, which was created by Huertas Abril and García Molina, and which was distributed via Google Forms. This questionnaire basically consists of 23 items, which are classified or divided into 3 categories, which are: the first one is demographic information, the second one is the use of technology, and the third one is basically the use of digital game-based learning based on the TPACK model. And finally, the data were analyzed quantitatively using the software SPSS. And now we will move on to the findings.
Okay, so thank you, Fran. Well, as he explained before, the demographic information of the participants, now I'm going to focus first on questions about general information about uses of technology that ranges from question 1 to question 6. As you can see here in the screen, question 1 was the type of media that students use or would use in the classroom. And as you can see here, the most frequent resources that they use is the interactive whiteboards, because most schools here in Spain have this type of resources, and also, of course, internet. In a second stage, we can see the projector and, excuse me, can you please, yeah, the projector and also computers, both laptops and desktops. And as you can see here, TVs have a minor use nowadays here. Okay, so now in the second question, regarding a general question about if they played video or digital games for entertainment or other non-work or non-professional reasons, as you can see here, 56.3% of the participants answered yes, while almost a half, 43.8%, said that they didn't. Okay, now in the question 3, we can see about, their first approach to teaching and learning using games in the classroom. And as you can see here, the main source of this training was in pre-service teacher preparation program that you can see here in green, followed by other teachers, coaches, or supervisors, mainly in their placement periods. And then, different approaches, like, for example, I figured it out myself, that is own training, and also other sources. If we move to question 4, here is how frequently do or would your students use video or digital games in your classroom. They show a very positive approach to this, and the majority answer to this is about once a week. Okay, now in question 5, we have what types of video or digital games do or would your students play most during class time? And here, as you can see, the majority is educational games, followed by entertainment games adapted for education use. But the use of commercial off-the-shelf games is very limited. Okay, so it's something that we should explore. Okay, and finally, regarding the uses in question 6, we asked them to tell us video games that they know for educational purposes. And as you can see here, the most frequent one was brain training, followed by others, like, for example, Minecraft Education, Among Us, or Professor Layton. And they also included Kahoot, although it is not a video game as such. Okay, it's for gamifying the lessons, but it's not a video game as the others. Now, if we move to the questions related to the TPACK model, the first three questions are connected to the technological knowledge that participants have. So in here, we can see the statement, I can learn about video games easily, in which over 70% of the participants agreed. Then in question 8, it is about exploring and experimenting with video games. And here we can see that almost, well, 2/3 of the participants agree or totally agree with this. In question 9, the last one related to technological knowledge, we can see again that they consider themselves to have the technical skills they need to use video games in general. Okay, in this case, we are talking about using video games in general, not focused already related to pedagogical approaches. If we move to the next question, we start with a section of the questionnaire connected to content knowledge. And in here, we can see I have enough knowledge about the curricular areas I teach. And although it is true that most of the participants feel positive regarding this, it is true that 17% of the participants disagree with this. Okay, this is also connected to the fact that they are they are pre-service teachers. In question 11, we have, I can use an appropriate approach to the curricular areas I teach. And as you can see here, the perception is very positive. Finally, in this section, in question 12, we have the approaches, the ways and strategies that they can develop to improve their understanding of the curricular areas. And again, here, most of the participants are very positive. The following three questions, questions 13 to 15, are related to pedagogical knowledge. And in here, we can see a different perception, because it is interesting to see that 45% of the participants don't know how to evaluate student performance in a video game based class. Okay, so then in question 14, we have something different, because here is only a quarter of the participants who state that they don't know how to use they don't know a wide range of pedagogical strategies to use video game based classes. Okay, and finally, question 15, we have, I know how to organize and maintain classroom management in a video game based class. Here we see a certain balance between positive and negative approaches to this. But again, it's something that gives you some idea in aspects to focus on for teacher training. Okay, the following question is connected to pedagogical content knowledge. And as we can see here, the statement was, I can select effective pedagogical strategies to guide the students' thinking and learning in the curricular areas. As you can see, in general, they agree with this statement, although a fifth disagree. Okay, so now the following question, 17, related to technological content knowledge. Here we can see again a similar result regarding video games that they can use to facilitate the understanding of activities in the curricular areas they teach. Moving to question 18, this is part of the three questions connected to technological pedagogical knowledge. And again, here we have a very positive approach regarding the choice of appropriate video games to use in the lessons. In question 19, we see regarding critical thinking, connecting the use of video games in the classroom. And although in general, there is a positive approach to this, it is true that 15% of the participants disagree with this. And finally, in this section, question 20, regarding choosing video games that improve, facilitate, or enhance the content of a lesson, in general, participants feel confident with this type of choices. Okay, Then moving to the last part of the questionnaire related to technological pedagogical content knowledge, that is the whole TPACK model itself, we can see that regarding I can determine how video games combine the curricular areas I teach technology and pedagogical strategies. In general, they have a very positive approach to this. Okay, in question 22, regarding adapting video games for educational uses, again, we have a positive approach. And finally, in question 23, they know quite well how to evaluate their strengths and limitations regarding the use of video games to teach specific contents. So considering our findings, now we move to the discussion. And as you have seen in the previous slides, in general, there is a positive perception, a positive opinion among participants about the educational potential of games, especially video games in the bilingual and EFL classroom. And a considerable part of the participants would use digital game-based learning frequently. They are aware of the potential of games for learning. They consider that they have the necessary skills, especially the necessary technical skills for doing that. They have a general idea on how to use pedagogical strategies when implementing DGBL. And in general, they know video games that can facilitate the teaching, as we have seen, for example, in the case of Minecraft education, or or Professor Layton, for example, for critical thinking. If we move to the following slide, it is true that, again, a considerable part of the participants consider that they have the necessary knowledge to choose the video games that best suit their needs in their lessons. And they also know how to adapt the video games that they choose for the educational uses that they need. And it is very important that they know how to assess the strengths and weaknesses they may have regarding the use of video games to teach specific contents. So moving now to the last part of the discussion, it is true that despite these positive perceptions, participants are doubtful about two key issues. First, regarding the assessment, the evaluation of students in digital game-based learning, okay, and also regarding their knowledge to organize and maintain classroom management in DGBL, okay. So now, as a conclusion, well, it is true, as we have said, that the pre-service teachers participating in this study are positive about the educational potential of games, especially, as I said, video games, digital games, in the bilingual and EFL classroom. And it is true that universities and teacher education institutions, I mean, teacher trainers in general, need to include specific scaffolding and training so as we can provide future teachers with the necessary knowledge and skills, considering this TPACK model, to implement DGBL. Okay, so now, well, here you can see the key references that we have used in this presentation. And thank you very much for listening to us, and we hope that you found this presentation interesting. If you have any question or comment, we would be more than happy to try to answer to them. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have 5 minutes for questions. So maybe if there's a question or comment. No? Well, maybe I will stop recording here.